and gals, Never here from Drakewing Gaming, and something on Twitter, the Gaming Drag. Today I'm coming back at you on the Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Leigh's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alright. This is about the other day again. I thought we'd gotten over this, but it looks like Leigh still doesn't trust himself around me. It was just a single incident. I don't get why he's so adamant that he might hurt me. He catches himself, too, and stops mid-step away, holding his ground to let me touch him, but I've already returned my hand by this point. An awkward atmosphere is swarming in to fill the gaps. But it doesn't last too long before our silence is disturbed by the sound of tools clanking on one of the nearby stands, as well as the thundering of footsteps. It's a large polar bear I saw earlier, and while his clothes are still on, the front is partially unzipped enough that I can see his chest. His fur is just as damp as Leigh's. I can feel my own getting there, too, even with the steady breeze flowing through the store. It's like sitting on the beach in the middle of the summer. It's painfully hot, but the licks of wind are the greatest blessing one can receive. He doesn't look surprised to see me. If anything, his focus is more of a smug grin in Leigh's direction. It's nothing like the ones that Oscar gives. This one is more like an older brother who was just proven right. Well, well, well. Vicky did say that you had a young guy visiting you, and I thought the guy was pulling my leg, but looky here. You really do have friends outside of us. Fuck off, Colin. Hey, now, I'm just glad that you have someone outside your sister. Don't tell anyone else but this one, but one of the guys was telling Vicky that it was creepy. No one talks to Vicky besides us, Alice and the boss. Well, I stand by what I said. It was a little creepy. Jackass. Despite their harsh words, there's nothing but smiles between them. It's clear it's just some harmless ribbing from close friends. Whoever this Colin guy is, Leigh must be fond of him. The bear must have noticed how awkwardly isolated I'd been from the conversation, shifts his focus from the possum right to me. Where are my manners? My name's Colin. You must have been the legendary Wallace that the young man here keeps talking about. Leigh talks about me? Not as much as we'd want him to. Trying to get anything out of this guy is harder than trying to get laid at 50, and trust me, that ain't easy either. I just told him that a friend had been staying at my place yesterday. They didn't believe me, so I told them about you. They didn't say much. The end of his sentence is punctuated by the sound of the hood slamming into place, putting a literal lid on the conversation as he reaches around and turns the car off. Losing the ambient sound of the motor running makes the silence feel louder than ever, but I'm grateful for the break from the constant sweltering temperature. Without the heat, the breeze feels like it's actually cooling me down, and I can tell the other guys are happy about it too. Leigh's already wiping the excess sweat from his face with a drenched rag. Finished her up? What's the problem? I'll let Vicky know, and maybe Alice can pick up the stuff before coming back. There's a broken cylinder, but there might be a problem with the radiator, too. The whole thing looks like shit. The whole motor is fucked. The pistons are bent to shit, and there's oil everywhere. Burnt to a crisp. The hell? Is that a mosquito? Are you a mosquito? What are you? You are a mosquito. Okay. Second, Neil. Water time. Arrange this on my desk. Okay, there we go. Fuck, boss isn't gonna be too happy about that. Clients won't be either. Yeah, but I don't have to deal with them. Just tell Vicky, he'll sort it out. Obviously, what do you think I am, suicidal? I ain't gonna tell the boss the whole engine's fucked. As soon as it leaves the bear's mouth, I can't stop my tail from bristling and my ears from flicking up. I'm never able to hold it back after what happened with Marcus, no matter how hard I try. It's never subtle because Leigh's eyes flick over to mine for a moment. He doesn't make a big deal about it, but it's obvious that he's worried. His focus never leaves the older man. I'm gonna clean up and head off. You guys good for the rest of the day? Hell yeah, you head off. I'll let the boss know. Thanks for staying a bit late today. You know how fucking useless the other guys can be. Don't be too harsh on them. Liam's kid is old enough to walk, but that little guy is getting into all sorts of trouble at home. Yeah, but that doesn't excuse missing out of his shifts. Anyway, you get out of there. Your shift ended an hour ago. Don't forget to say goodbye to Vicky. You know how pissy he gets when you don't. I know. Leigh just gives a huff as a reply, but that looks to be enough to satisfy the polar bear as he turns his attention back to me, extending that friendly demeanor to... Get away from me, you. That friendly demeanor to me as well. Nice to meet you, Wallace. Sorry we weren't able to talk much, but you know how work is. Maybe you can visit during lunch and we can have a proper chat. None of us really know what Leigh does outside this place. I told you, you just won't believe me. A guy like you living a life as boring as that? I doubt it. With that, the bear pushes through the door I came from earlier with nothing but a final nod in my direction and a middle finger in Leigh's, to which the possum returns without a moment's hesitation. Leigh acts in such a starkly different manner here than he does anywhere else, but I suppose it makes sense. Who knows how long he's been with these guys, but he's comfortable with them. More comfortable than our group that he's known for only a week, that's for sure. I must have been staring because that mixture of worry and suspicion creeps back over his face as he scans his eyes over mine, trying to find any hint of something wrong. Eventually he relents, but I can still feel the tension in my tail, despite my best efforts to relax it. It'll go down eventually. It always does. At least Colin didn't say anything specific. Don't mind him. He's a good guy, just a pain in the ass. You two look like you get along well. We've known each other a long time. How long have you been working here? Since I was 15, maybe even 14, somewhere around there. That surprises me, but Leigh must have been expecting that. He doesn't even give me a chance to question him before he clarifies. I needed to start saving up money. I needed to be able to prove to the courts that I could take care of my sister. So I started working here. Started working as soon as I could, and Graham offered me a chance. I'm working here ever since. How long is that? Around 9 years. I'm 23. Whoa, I haven't even had a job before, let alone worked somewhere for that long already. It's nothing flashy, but it's honest work and pays the bills. Right now I'm on reduced hours so I can go to college. I tried to convince the boss that I only needed a few less hours, but he wouldn't listen. Now I'm barely doing 20 a week. But it just sounds like he's worried about you. His stoic expression softens at that, and he reaches down to pat my head, not even hesitating this time. Whatever's going on with him and trying to avoid touching me must come in waves if his inconsistent behavior is anything to go by. I know. Graham's big on the whole work family thing. He's a good guy, treats his staff good, goes out of his way to make sure we got the shit we need. I owe him everything. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Not working, not at college, shit, I probably wouldn't even have Charlie right now. Sounds like he's a really great guy. All of them are, even Vicky. He's full of himself and an ass, but he means well and he's got my back if I need it. Alice and Colin are always looking out for me too. Alice used to take care of Charlie when I had to work extra shifts. Sounds like you guys really are a family. I suppose we are. Graham's good at what he does, even if most of the time he's just yelling his head off at you. He'll take a bullet for any of us, I'm sure of it. Most of the guys here today, anyway. He sometimes hires people short term, but they never last. Liam's the latest one. Some coyote who just needs an in-between job while his wife is pregnant. He's pretty useless, but he listens, and that's better than most of them. He isn't here much anyway. It's usually just me, Alice, and Colin in here. Graham if we need the spare pair of hands, too. What about Victor? He sounded pretty eager to come help. Vicky? The guy's awful when it comes to cars. He knows his stuff, but the moment he gets his hands on a tool, he turns into a walking disaster. He's banned from the garage after he nearly dropped the hoist on Colin. Oh my god! It was pretty bad. Never seen Graham so pissed before. I really thought he was going to fire the guy, but Colin convinced him not to. So he's stuck working the front desk. He's good at it, too. People love him. There was a charm to him that I wasn't expecting when I first saw him. He's like a kid who's a little too enthusiastic about wanting to spend time together, like a little brother's brother who just got back from college. It's a little too close to home. Why do you call him Vicky? He seems to really dislike that. It's just what we've always called him. He keeps saying it makes him sound childish and that Victor is a man's name, but he's just Vicky to us. Like how you call me kid? He pauses at that like he's seriously considering the question. It was supposed to be just something mentioned in passing, but he's really pondering it. It's not the same. I expected him to elaborate if he doesn't, but maybe it's a good sign that it made him pause. While I don't always dislike the doting, he does have a habit of trying to baby me, which I hope I can get him to stop. I'm not a child. I'm gonna go rinse off at the shower out back. Go sit in the office and I'll meet you there. Vicky will throw a fit if I don't see him off. Waiting in the office wasn't too bad. Victor was more than happy to take any distraction from the boredom, though he did often put me on hold to answer a call or handle work on the computer. Water time. Despite his juvenile attitude and constant bickering with Graham, who would often come in and out of his office, the rat was a lot more serious about his work than I would have guessed. Colin stopped by once with a coffee, coming out of another door I hadn't even noticed was right next to Graham's office. That must be the break room. He mostly just checked in with Victor, teasing the guy to near yelling before disappearing back in the garage. It was enough that Graham had to come back in to scold him. Everyone was nice to me though. Even Victor, who was a little too curious about my relationship with Leigh, but was quickly disappointed by the lack of any real substance. I've known him for less than a week after all. If anything, he should be the one telling me stories. Not that I tell them that. It'd be rude, especially after he offered to make me some coffee. Not that I drink coffee, but I appreciated the offer. It didn't take Leigh long to arrive in the office, jumpsuit replaced by his usual leather jacket and red shirt. He looks freshly clean to the point where his previous pitch black hands are now back to their usual pink hue. Despite still smelling like every chemical in the workshop, he now has a citrus smell lingering that I've never smelled on him before. It's pretty intense. Victor, on the other hand, looks less than impressed and makes no effort to hide it. He actively puts in the effort to lean on the desk like he's judging Leigh as if he had some high school art project. Back to the usual, huh? Heh. Why don't you wear anything interesting anymore? Your little friend is here to pick you up and you're just gonna go out in that? What's the matter with this? I'm gonna do it more of an accent. It's fine, but if you're boring. I don't think it's boring. But come on, I remember what you used to wear when you started working here. Damn it, I missed that. When you and Alice used to sneak out to clubs together after work dressed up like, well, you know. That was a long time ago. Graham told me to stop doing that anyway. If any customers saw me dressed up like that, they'd freak. You know how they are. Yeah, I guess. Bunch of old asshats. Younger guys would have loved it, though. Take your little friend, for example. Have you shown him how you used to look? God, I wish I could look that hot. It's clear that Victor expected to catch Leigh off guard with that question, but the possum looks just as cool as usual, to the point where the rodent's smugness quickly morphs to suspicion. Leigh doesn't let him stew in his thoughts for long before giving an answer. I gave him an example yesterday, actually. That just makes the rat huff and slump back in his chair, grumbling profanities under his breath. Whatever's going on between them, it's clear this has a lot more history to it than I'm going to learn for a long time. Of course it has. Of course he has. And never for poor Victor. Anyway, you heading off? You sure you don't want to wait for Alice? She'll be here soon. If I see her on the way out, I'll say hey, but I got places to be. Wallace hasn't been waiting for too long anyway. Oh, I can keep the two of you company if you want to wait. Beats listening to Frank calling up trying to apologize for fucking up the radiator hose. Again. We're good. I've spent more than my shift here. It's time to head off. The boss would have my head if he caught me still here. Taking water time. The two of them glance over at the office door as if waiting for it to suddenly burst open and eternal hell to unleash from it. From the looks of anticipation, it might be just as bad as whatever we experienced yesterday. Fair. Say hi to Charlie for me. You know she doesn't care. Whatever, I'll catch you around too, Wallace. I have a good feeling that I'll be seeing you around for a long time. You better keep this one close, alright? Don't do what you usually do. What does that mean? Leigh just looks as confused as me, but the rat just rolls his eyes and ignores the two of us, going back to typing away at his computer. I'm curious about the answer. Leigh looks less than enthusiastic and just gestures at the door. Come on, let's go. Okay, I still don't know where we're actually going. Don't worry, I know the way. We ended up running into Alice along the way, and she was larger than both Victor and Leigh. Hell, she looked like she could bench 5 of me. She's a large hyena with a deep brown fur color with plenty of lighter patches to highlight her features, as well as plenty of black spots. Similar to Leigh, she's not properly wearing her jumpsuit, and her sports bra is very visibly stained. What catches my attention the most is that her biceps is larger than almost every other guy here. The only person who can compete with her is Colin, and I wasn't able to get a good look to see which was muscle and which was fat. I bet an arm wrestling contest between the two of them would be intense. Out of everyone we've met so far, she was easily the most sociable. While Victor and Colin were nice, they were nowhere near as easy to talk to. We didn't have long to talk, though. Only a few words and introductions before she had to head off carrying a large box of parts. That explains all the muscle. Leigh talked just as casually with her as he did with the rest of them. It wasn't as personal as he is with his sister, but there's a sense of normality that he doesn't have with the other people from what I've seen. They truly are his family, even if it's more like an extended family you only visit on the holidays. You're close enough that you just consider them family, but not so close that you'd walk around the house in your underwear while they were there. Now it's just the two of us walking down the footpath, going towards wherever Leigh had planned for us to go. Not that I can complain, the company is nice, and that whole trip left me in a good mood. Alright, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Before I go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to our lovely bronze tier patrons. Thank y'all for all you do for the channel. We greatly appreciate your support. Thank you to our silver tier patron, Cade Silverman. Thank you for going a bit above and beyond. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you to our gold tier patron, Teresm Guy. You're awesome. We love you. Thank you for subbing to our ultimate tier anyway. If y'all want to get your names in the credits, get access to all of our not safe for work content as little as $5. Alrighty, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!